guys, it's Laurie from Strait Talk. Be sure to check out new videos every Saturday on our Strait Talk channel. And if you like us, please share and subscribe to the channel. And please, please, please click the bell to get new notifications, all right? Have a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll get through this together. Bye.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Strait Talk. My name is Laurie.
My name is Charlotte.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Beaty.
And today we have a special episode. We're going to talk about mental health. I know a lot of things have been going on with quarantine and everything, and a lot of people are taking it really seriously, and a lot of people are having trouble dealing with being alone and being at home. And, you know, it's not the same thing as just being interactive. So today we're going to just touch base on some of the problems with mental illness that we've had or people we've known. So we're going to start it off. I would love to hear from Charlotte first.
Hey, so being stuck at home is definitely a little bit difficult. I think it raises anxiety levels or depression because there's only but so many outlets, and it forces you to be trapped within your space. So that makes it a little bit hard to process or use those resources to maintain a sense of well-being. So it's hard. It all literally comes down to this is difficult. And that's the hardest part of being literally trapped at home for 3 months now. I've lost track what day is it. But for me, it has honestly caused some anxiety not being able to step out. Like, I took a drive with my daughter yesterday, and it was the best thing. We were just singing Michael Jackson at the top of our lungs, and it was awesome. So it's hard. It's hard, and you have to breathe through it. You have to get out and shake it out.
Yeah, it's very it's for me, it all started when all this thing started, because for me, watching the news every day, seeing the deaths, seeing the numbers, I couldn't sleep. I would have I remember just going to the grocery store with my husband, and I freaked out, and I was like, I want to go. I need to leave. And he's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I'm having an anxiety attack because I can't. I couldn't be around those many people, and I never had that issue, and it was really hard to pinpoint what it was. In hindsight, I knew what it was, but it's really difficult. And with my child, just taking him out somewhere, just even walking him, was anxious. I would move when I see people, and that's so. I live in a community where they're really nice and they say hello and everybody's really inviting. So to have that anxiety and then you've never really known it and experienced it is really hard.
You have to take a moment to kind of stop, breathe, regroup, and calm yourself. I know it's easier said than done, but you literally have to take that moment and just be like, breathe, we can do it. So.
And you're also you're mindful of your space. So you're kind of moving and that that off the bat looks rude, you know what I mean? So that's mostly what I've experienced lately. I would love to hear from anybody else who's had some issues, and we can roll back and talk it out later.
I can talk about an experience that I've had with mental health specifically. And so I know that everybody's suffering, pretty much everyone's suffering with anxiety right now. I've always had anxiety, but it's come from having the first time I had a panic attack on the train, and then eventually having not necessarily panic disorder, but the fact that I experienced a panic for the first time was it was you're having a heart attack, and I was on the train, it was in the public, it was scary. But going back to mental health, the first time I was diagnosed at 19 with bipolar disorder, and apparently, and also ADD. But the guy was like, "You're slightly ADD," and I'm like, "All right, cool." But when I was 19, I decided to get evaluated. I got evaluated. They told me I had bipolar disorder, but it was never really treated, and I don't really recall why. Maybe my insurance didn't cover at the time. Who knows? Whatever. but I have received therapy, like a lot of therapy in the past. Like the thing about therapy too, and I was talking to Laurie about this, is that when you're looking for a therapist, you don't just go to any therapist. I mean, you have to see who works best for you, someone who understands, because it's important to have that connection with your therapist, to not necessarily have a friendship, but somebody who makes you feel comfortable. So I've never taken medication for my bipolar disorder. I was never even comfortable when I was 19. Like, it was kind of like, you have bipolar disorder. And I was just like, okay. And just went on with my life. I'm so serious. Yeah. I went on with my life, and I just kind of like, like a typical 19-year-old kid would do. So I'm just like, okay, great, good, bye, cool. So I have this, but I never talked about it because I was low-key embarrassed. I looked it up one day, and I had like a breakdown because I was crying, because I was like, oh my God, it means that I have a manic disorder. And like, anyone who's like me, if you want to like know more about what you have, you go into it. And the worst thing that, since I work in the medical field, the worst thing I tell my patients, I tell them, please do not Google. And that's exactly what I did. I Googled. I'm like, do not Google your own symptoms. Do not Google your own stuff, because then you go crazy, which is what happened to me. I got so upset. I was like, does this mean I'm a maniac? Am I going to go crazy? And I often, get scared about my older age. Like, what if I do go crazy? What if I'm those people that are like, like that loses their mind at one point? And that really is a fear of mine, of actually going crazy. But I just decided to like stop worrying, because at the end of the day, worrying doesn't solve anyone's problem. It just raises your blood pressure. It's a waste of time. So I decided to get educated. I was like, let me find out what I can do to control my bipolar disorder, because I would have like mood swings, and not just because I'm a female or I'm getting older and I have these hormones, etc. We have that problem in general. So boys, be nice to us. But like, we're going through changes emotionally all the time since birth. But when you have a mental illness on top of that, it's just, you can only imagine how much more stressful it is, especially on top of responsibility, and then having to go to work, and like having to stay sane, and for a lack of a better term, to stay sane all day, to not let it run your life. So learning meditation has helped me immensely, learning how to control my thoughts, going to therapy. I've never really taken medication for it. When I say really, I mean nothing at all. But I'm telling you, like, this is what worked for me, because I took the time to understand my problem. You know what I mean? So it's instead of like right away going to a doctor, I was like, okay, long-term medication is not something that I want to be on for a long time. So I have to learn how to manage the way I think, the way I act, self-control, all these kind of things. And it's like, and it also depends on the type of bipolar disorder you have. I think that there's two levels, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm incorrect, comment below and let me know if I'm incorrect. But I think that I was on like level 1, which is kind of like below, which is like average. But it didn't mean that I didn't have moments of just like rage, and then moments of just like calmness, where I don't know. And anxiety on top of that doesn't help. But learning to manage it really has made such a difference in my life. I've been able to, like this right before I started managing this, like right before all this stuff happened. So I was going to work, like just doing what I could to prepare myself a day, especially living in New York, in the Bronx specifically, with that anxiety, all that, like I recognizing my my triggers and stuff like that. Like if I see an issue, I try to like avert myself from it. I don't put myself in stressful situations anymore. I used to. And just really learning my limits and respecting myself at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? This is if you want to go like not the medication route. If for some people it's necessary, it helps. Like I know an NP that used to work for that told me, why not give it a try? Like, what if it does help you? And it's an option. We should be thankful that we even have the option. But if you don't want that as an option, there are other options that work for you. Holistic lifestyle, etc. Like whatever works for you. Meditation works for me, and just respecting myself and knowing my boundaries is what really helps.
I think it's really important that you've educated yourself about your situation, because a lot of people walk around not even knowing what's going on with them. And I think that's even like more, because you think you're going crazy. You think you're like, what is going on with you?
Especially if you don't understand, you're just like, oh, what's going on? It's stressful.
Yeah. And as women, we just go through so much already. Like you mentioned, we have when you're around your daily cycle, like just PMS and all this other stuff, and
you know, and on
Everything
top
is
of that
okay.
to have,
It's
yeah,
just her period. She's just acting like a
oh, she's just going to that time of the month. No, we not just going through that time. It's a problem. You know?
The character could be like, oh my gosh, she's such a B word. Like, she's such a bad person. Like, she's probably going through something she doesn't understand. Have you ever maybe considered that? You know, everyone has their own problems. But what happens, like, what happens if it's an actual mental, like, problem? It's okay to go to someone and say, like, hey, whatever you're going through, you can talk to me about it. And that person might be comfortable enough to open up to you and say, hey, had someone at 19 come up to me and said, hey, if you're going through something, you can talk to me. And I would have been like, probably hesitant or maybe comfortable to be like, hey, I was just diagnosed with bipolar disorder and I don't really understand. Imagine if somebody would have been there to be like, hey, let's figure this out. I mean, I'm thankful I figured it out on my own. That takes a lot of like courage, and in my opinion. Yeah. But if you're someone who's been diagnosed and you're embarrassed, don't be embarrassed. It's more common than you think. And it's important that you know that you have someone to lean on so that way you can get help. Or if you're, you know, and use the internet. The internet, I mean, not in a diagnose yourself type of way. Look for a doctor, someone who can help you, or try to find healthy ways to manage it. Maybe dieting, you know, eating right, you know, getting the therapy if you need it, you know, meditation, like whatever you look up. Like I look up everything. I'll be like, okay, how do I meditate? They'll be like, okay, even something on Google will pop up and say, take 5 seconds to breathe. And then like, I'll feel great after that. It's me.
What do you think about support groups? Like
support groups are
Facebook groups or things like that.
I think they're important. I went to a support group one time. I think that's for like a whole nother episode. But like I even went to a group one time that kind of told me, you know, like I don't really know how to describe it. It was a group that basically helped me manage myself. Like it helps you stand on your own feet, where you don't necessarily have like a sponsor or anything like that. You can have someone to talk to, but essentially you have to learn how to like be strong. So that's basically what they taught me. And it's helped.
You guys actually just reminded me about something. For me, my issue has always been my weight and weight loss. And something that helped me right after my surgery, and even now, is the fact that I have a support group. Is the fact that mentally it's like, okay, I'm not alone. Others have experiences. Some have gone through worse. So the support group lets you know you are literally not alone. Here is something else that you can try without it sounding insane in the sense that it's like some random thing that you don't know what is going on. So that for me has been a really big thing. And I didn't realize how much that correlates with mental health. So yeah.
It really does.
It really does. It really does. Like for me, when I was in college, again, I don't know, you never sometimes notice these things when they're happening. Like for me in college, I suffered from depression. It wasn't like, you know, diagnosed and I had to go to I feel like college was so stressful for me at some point that I kind of shut down. Like I went to school to try to be a psychologist actually and learn, took my first psych class, didn't like it. And I was like, now what? And then I went and took 2 semesters off because I'm like, I don't, you know, with financial aid, there's so much to worry about. I feel like I know this could be a whole different, you know, show, but just to touch base, high school doesn't prepare you for college, people. My viewers, just letting you know, like, do your own stuff, talk to people that's gone through college because it's hard, and dealing with all of it right out of high school when you've been accustomed to doing things a certain way, and now you're basically like free and they just expect you to do stuff after you've been like disciplined to do things a certain way. It was really hard for me to manage that. And then, you know, at that time, my support group was my boyfriend at the time, was my husband now, and he really got me through like chugging it out and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would be able to like have that motivation to finish, because, you know, nobody else was really, you know, there. And no offense to like my family and stuff like that, but they didn't understand, you know, like the pressures of finishing and the pressures of getting through class and not knowing, and you don't want to let them down. So you don't really want to like talk to them about it. But yeah, it was hard. It was really hard. I really like to hear from Beaty.
Okay. Yeah, like what you just said, like, no offense to, our family, or it's nothing that could go back and change. Probably wouldn't have been different, or we wouldn't have felt different anyway. But we do go through that, where we go through things, and it's hard for us to share because it may be that we don't want them to know how we're feeling, because we don't want to disappoint them or worry them, or we just don't really know how to express what we're feeling or what we're going through. When I was young, really young, I dealt with a lot of, like, I'm trying not to get emotional, but I dealt with a lot of like abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, a lot. I don't want to go into details, but it caused me to be depressed at a very, very early age. So I was like 12 when I really got really depressed. I mean, I kind of battled it even from an earlier age, because, like, my father, he has a mental illness, and that's why he wasn't a part of my life. He had schizophrenia, and it was really bad. Like, I visited him in, like, mental hospitals and stuff like that. And so I've seen psychiatrists from a very early age, and that was all my mom trying to make sure I always had a professional to talk to and things like that, because she knew I had a lot of hard things to deal with. But being depressed and then being around other children being depressed, it's weird, because they always treated me like I was just looking for attention. Like, like, nobody ever was like, oh, she needs extra care, or let's help her. They were always like, you're always talking about some sob story, or you're always this or that. I ended up being like one of those cutters, and just a lot of stuff. And it felt really alone, because I don't think it was until high school where I really, like, met other kids like that, but I didn't like it. Like, I didn't want to be depressed, and I didn't want, so it wasn't like a support thing, because I think when you're depressed and you have real life friends that are depressed around you, it kind of makes for a bad mix. You know what I mean? You guys all bring each other down.
Yeah.
So in that situation, when you're depressed, I don't think you really look for support groups, because a lot of them will talk more depressing, talk about suicide. They'll believe it's a choice for you to make. So I don't think that's a good thing to look for a support group. Maybe recovered depression. Another touch I want to go is, since I was also very young, and I went to these, what do you call them? The psychiatrists and the therapists. I did one-on-ones, I did group therapy. And I always thought, since I was a kid and they were grown-ups, that they were going to fix me, that they knew something I didn't know. And the more I went, and the more I felt like they weren't helping me, the more depressed I would get. And it wasn't until somebody I met from a church I used to go to called LPAC, LPAC, right? That I don't even remember who it was. I just remember he said to me, the only thing guaranteed in life is change. So whatever situation that you're in now that you feel like it's unbearable, it's not going to be like that forever. Mm-hmm. And that really, really, really hit me deep. And I never forgot those words. I just don't remember who told them to me. And that's pushed me. That pushed me, because it went from like, I don't even feel like living anymore because life is so horrible, to he's right, and things could change, and I have the power to change it. And that really pushed me. That really, really pushed me. That helped me go to a whole 360, change my whole life around. And I realized that nobody could fix my mind. Nobody could fix me, because I wasn't broken. And it started with me first. And the little changes I made eventually helped me get out of it. Well,
That's wonderful. But I think that it's really important just to find somebody that can help you through things, because and know that you're not alone. Even at the times when you're like at your lowest and you think this is only happening to me, like, no, it's not. A lot of other people are going through it too. You just need to find the right person to tell you, no, it's okay. It's okay to feel the way you do. Because like what you said, Beaty, when you talked about certain people telling you, oh, she's just whining, she's just complaining. Like, no, your feelings are valid. What you're going through is valid, and it's okay. But I'm really glad that you got that support. I'm glad that everybody here. Sometimes you need to go through things to understand, to be like better on the other side, even though there's like bad at the point that you're going through them. Like when you get to the other side, it's kind of like, okay, I learned. I learned about myself, and I learned about your strengths also, how strong you can be.
I honestly wanted to say, like, I've known you since high school, Laurie, like literally freshman year. And you always help me through stuff and always told me, like, it's okay. And we have always compared lives on how similar it can be.
Do not make me cry.
I'm not going to promise.
Online. Do not make me cry.
No, I'm joking. But it's like, you've always helped me through that. And then I've met Beaty, who helps me through mom life. And I've met Amanda, who helps me like literally sit down and think about the now and not only have to deal with it and then think about in a retrospective kind of sense. And then I have Starzia, who I'm just like, I'm going crazy. And she goes, girl, me too. Like we can literally just figure that out together. So even though we might not always be in a support sense, we're going to go. And if I didn't have the love of my life helping me through every moment and dealing with my every single text message of I'm losing my mind and Charlotte, you're okay, then it's like, who else is going to be there? So we have to learn how to, even though everybody's situation may be different, talk it out in a sense, do your research, help each other. Remember that it's not just, oh, she's just being dramatic. It's not. And it really means something to everyone. So thanks, guys. I literally really needed that talk.
Yeah. And honestly, from a mom's perspective, sometimes you just need a place to go and scream your head off and come back and regroup. For me, it's not just, I'm serious. Like for me, it's not just a mom's perspective. I'm a teacher too. So sometimes I need to step back and be like, okay, I'm not going to be my best self if I don't go scream in a room and come back. And then I'm like, hey, how you doing? Because I don't want to kind of like give that energy out to the other children or to my child, because they don't know, they don't deserve it, and they feel everything, So, all stressors in life really need to be, taken with a grain of salt and just dealt with it in your own way, but a healthy way. That's all I learned, because, stress in itself, you might think it's not related to mental health, but a lot of people go through it, and a lot of people literally like shut down, and that's like and they're used to it, and they just kind of like go with it, and it's like zombie, but they're not okay,
Yeah. Keep pushing and pushing.
Go ahead.
No, sorry.
Say it again.
Say that one more time.
Pushing through life and not really, like, if you avoid the issue, it can actually make it worse, because I've done that too, where I'm like, you know what, it's okay, especially in certain cultures like Latin culture, you're taught to like, hey, reel it in, bring it together, but it's totally okay to cry. It's okay to break down. Like, if I feel like I need to cry and that's a cry day, I'm gonna cry all day, and I guarantee you, like, that you're just letting all of that negativity out, in my opinion. You just feel better.
Just always say, los hombres no lloran. Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. And to be honest, because that machismo thing that men are not supposed to cry, no, to our viewers that are men, cry it out. Why? Because you need to let that emotion out, because it's okay to. It's
We're
okay to. You are not weak. You are not feminine. You are not any lesser if you're showing your emotions, because I bet you there's more high risk men who are going through depression and going through mental problems, but we don't know about it statistically because they are not letting it out. They don't feel like they can.
Yeah, which is silly.
Very. I feel like Beaty wanted to say something. You?
So, yeah, I was gonna say, is earlier when you said like holding it in, a lot of times people put a front, they put a mask, and they act like everything's okay, and when really they're like dying inside. And that's why it's really important to check on your strong friends, because I think all of us would be considered a strong friend. Like we would ride or die for each other. We would be there to support each other, and we're the kind of people that we also need to be checked up on, because like we may appear strong, but we can sometimes just we push ourselves so much that we push ourselves to the edge.
Yeah.
And sometimes we need to be real back, because then it's like when we're breaking down, it's really bad because we're just so overwhelmed. I
had to learn that actually from my husband, to let things out and to talk things out, because I'm the type of person who will hold it in for so long, and all of you know me, so you understand. I will hold it in, and then everybody's like, Laurie, you need to like let us know. I'm like, no, I'm fine, I'm cool, I'm fine. I'm chilling, and then one day I come out and I'm like cursing people out, or I'm upset, or I'm doing things that's out of my norm, because there's like this thing that keeps on picking at me, and I'm not letting it out. So my husband taught me a lot to kind of like, hey, if you have an issue, we need to talk this out now before it becomes a bigger issue. And then you see, I also want to point out, us as women, Latin women, and you guys know what I'm talking about, tend to want to be superheroes. And
yeah, that is very true.
I'm not saying that we're not superheroes, because we get it done. All right, we'll get it done, but we don't have to all the time. And that is also, I think, a tug of war with yourself, and learning to lean on your significant other or your family members to take on the load a little bit, because if not, let me tell you.
And I have a sit down with you and talk to you about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, Laurie, you gotta let other people carry the load too. You can't do everything yourself. I mean, we can, but we don't have to.
Yeah.
Can we just note that Starzia wasn't here because she's in the middle of finals?
Oh, let's give her a big.
You got this,
because of that. Yeah, she wasn't here because of that.
Oh, just letting you guys know, Star is working on her master's degree.
Dr. Star.
So she's moving on up, and we're very proud of her.
Yes, we are.
So I want to thank all of our viewers for watching us. Please subscribe, ring the bell for new notifications of our new episodes, and like and share so others could see these wonderful women that I talk with. And please remember, we're still in quarantine, okay? So please stay safe, stay healthy, stop coughing on people, put your mask on, wash your hands. If you got little kids, keep them home, okay? They're okay. They could stay home if they want to. All right. So, again, thank you for watching, everybody. Next week is a new episode, so stay tuned. Bye, everybody.
Bye.